वो दिन कितने प्यारे थे, ये दिन भी कितने प्यारे हैं। तब बाबा साथ हमारे थे, तब बाबा साथ हमारे थे। बाबा अब भी साथ हमारे हैं।
अच्छा सभी टीचर्स तो सदा ही ज्ञान स्वरूप, स्मृति स्वरूप है। क्योंकि जैसे बाप शिक्षक बन के आते हैं तो बाप समान निमित्त शिक्षक को, बाप जैसे नहीं हो लेकिन निमित्त शिक्षक हो। तो टीचर्स की विशेषता निमित्त भाव और निर्माण भाव। सफल टीचर वही बनती है जिसका निर्मल स्वभाव। अभी निर्मल स्वभाव के ऊपर विशेष अंडरलाइन करो। कुछ भी हो जाए लेकिन अपना स्वभाव सदा निर्मल रहे। यही निर्मल स्वभाव निर्माणता की निशानी। तो अंडरलाइन करो निर्मल स्वभाव, बिल्कुल शीतल, शीतलता का गायन शीतला देवी। तो निर्मल स्वभाव अर्थात शीतल स्वभाव। बात जोश दिलाने की हो लेकिन आप निर्मल हो, तब कहेंगे सफल टीचर। तो बाप दादा फिर भी अंडरलाइन करा रहा है किस पर? निर्मल स्वभाव। समझा? अच्छा बच्चे, मैं आपके सदा साथ हूँ।
Om Shanti. Transformation of old sanskars and old nature. Surrender the attitude of waste and wasteful vibrations. Some children make an effort and make their aim and qualifications equal according to the time, circumstances, and problems. However, extra attention now needs to be paid to make this natural and part of your nature. Whether you become an avyakt angel or incorporeal, the main basis of making these stages your constantly natural nature is to become egoless. In order to do this, surrender the attitude of waste and wasteful vibrations, and you will become a natural yogi who has an angelic nature. Now transform the old nature and old sanskars. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti. Welcome to Vyakti Parivar. Today is day 19. Transformation of old sanskars and old nature. Today's topic is surrender the attitude of waste and wasteful vibrations. Now we will listen to Mohini Didi.
Om Shanti, everyone. Everyone, okay? Doing well? Happy to make efforts for the transformation of nature and sanskars. When we pay attention for the dharana and keep aim, and also pay attention to the attributes equal. Not only just have aim, but qualifications, the qualities of that aim should be equal. Sometimes we have aim, but we are not able to match it with our qualifications. But what Baba wants, that it should become very natural nature. And for that, more attention is required. These days, everyone has just one thought, that we are very busy, we don't have time. But I don't think it's question of time. And it's not also these days the question of creating a balance. But we have to integrate. We have to integrate. This is what my... Can you all hear me? Yes, okay. So I was mentioning that these days, there is a very, very common question that we are too busy to how to have balance, but also how to make our aim and attributes equal. So Baba says it just requires more attention. When there is attention, then it's not really a question of balance, but you integrate. That means while doing actions, have attention on your nature. Nothing should create tension. No? Sometimes it does happen that attention changes into tension. And then little bit irritation, then our stage fluctuate a lot. a lot of wasteful thoughts come. But what Baba wants us is that when you have attention, to have an angelic stage or to be constantly in the incorporeal stage, it should become natural. Angelic stage is basically keeping our qualities in, like our love, kindness, caring, sharing. If qualities are in our attention and we follow, we remain very light. It's our stage is flying stage. Or in other words, it's angelic stage, awake stage. Because in your awake stage, then external situations, circumstances, or any kind of problems, they don't affect us. We know that there are circumstances, but our mind is not influenced by circumstances or any kind of situations can sound and look as problems. But when there is attention, then you don't see any problem as problem. So one of the main practice is to have incorporeal stage. Incorporeal stage, in other words, stage of soul consciousness. So time to time in between, even you pause for just few moments and start practicing that I am peaceful, I am loveful, I am incorporeal, I am Baba's child. Sometimes in our intellect, we know everything. We know what to do. Knowing is one thing, but in practical, to do it is something different. And the intellectual, even a knowledgeful soul, can have just this thought that I know. But to be in soul consciousness is not only to know, but it has to be practiced. Reminding yourself of your eternal being. Eternally, I am a pure soul. Eternally, I am a peaceful soul. So as much I emerge my eternal self, in other words, then automatically our wasteful attitude, our wasteful vibrations will be completely surrendered and one becomes natural yogi and a natural angel. Now, when there are circumstances, instead of going beyond, you start analyzing why this happened, because of this one, maybe because of me, lot of wasteful thoughts. But one is to focus, let's say, technology. Sometimes it doesn't work the way we want. To focus, concentrate, and you will be able to find out and you can fix it. But if you start having wasteful thoughts, because others are having wasteful thoughts anyway, why it's not working, it's getting late, it always happens, it should not be like that. So the energy is of wasteful thoughts. But one who is responsible shouldn't waste time wasteful thinking, but rather focus. When you focus and concentrate, things will work out, right? So I like this point very much when Baba says, surrender wasteful attitude. And it should become your nature. So it's not question of one time, but every time. So even at that time you could emerge your angelic stage, incorporate stage. You could also remember Baba internally. Soul consciousness, remember of Baba. So what Baba is giving the yukti is to create angelic stage and to create incorporeal stage. When you are internally paying attention to create these stages, so our vibrations in angelic stage will pull the right things towards us. Because whatever are our thoughts or stage, our vibrations and atmosphere based on those vibrations. If you become heavy or irritated or lose hope and courage, so what kind of vibrations will be there? And instead what Baba is saying, that whatever is the time, whatever are the circumstances, whatever is, whatever are problems, but you remain busy in creating your angelic state and incorporeal state. I like this very much because instead of keep thinking, why not? It's waste to know. Create something. Baba's help will come. And when you are in angelic state, lot of cooperation comes. I find that nature, one is your nature, but elements also definitely help us. So today Baba also said, keep your nature very cool, very humble. Awareness that I am just an instrument. So that awareness has to be maintained while doing actions. I think that is really lacking, that our intellect is in the task, which I think concentration on the task is needed. But internally, the awareness that I have to be calm, I have to be cool, I have to be humble, I have to have awareness of being instrument. All this is practice is very, very important. So I'm sure that our homework, we will take it and experiment with it. That how did angelic stage help me? Because we want to get things done outside, and that's through actions. But what about my journey? What about my spiritual efforts, spiritual progress? So we keep aim, but practically we are not doing that much. As Baba says, more attention is required. So I'm so sure that if we pay attention, lot of beautiful experiences and success will be experienced, and that will help us to have more courage, more interest, self-trust that yes, I will be able to do. So I really love it, and to keep in mind of having that awareness is very, very important. Om Shanti. Om Shanti, everyone. Om Shanti.
After homework reading, we will have Brother Ken's session.
Transformation of old sanskars and old nature. Surrender the attitude of waste and wasteful vibrations. Some children make an effort and make their aim and qualifications equal according to the time, circumstances, and problems. However, extra attention now needs to be paid to make this natural and part of your nature. Whether you become an avyakt angel or incorporeal, the main basis of making these stages your constantly natural nature is to become egoless. In order to do this, surrender the attitude of waste and wasteful vibrations, and you will become a natural yogi who has an angelic nature. Om Shanti.
Om Shanti Avyakti Parivar. So today we have fortune that Brother Ken will be with us. So we'll have his session. But before we start, I just want to go through tomorrow's schedule. Tomorrow is Sunday. Amrit Vela 3:30 a.m. to 4:45 a.m. Meditation will start at 6 a.m. followed by Sakar, Hindi Murli, followed by meditation, Bhog offering, English, Avyakta Murli. Then evening session 6 p.m. starts, followed by spotlight, Drishti sharing, followed by meditation, English series, and homework, Avyakti journey. So now let's invite our angel, dear Brother Ken. Welcome to Avyakti journey, living and serving with our Brahmin family. Welcome, dear angel, Brother Ken.
Om Shanti, dear Sister Bhumi. What a pleasure to be here with you. And Om Shanti Didi, Om Shanti everyone. I am in Mexico at the moment. I'm at a retreat. Cuernavaca, and especially Sisters Moira, Yolanda, Noni, and Brother Marcelo, who are here with me, that many of you know. They especially wanted me to send greetings to the Avyakti Parivar family. So it's very wonderful that Baba called attention to the fact that we are instruments, and the whole idea of this Dharana-based leadership course that I'm extracting some of these points from was all about how to be better instruments in Baba's service, how to be, as he said, embodiments of remembrance while we're doing things, how to have the purity and the cleanliness and the coolness that Baba spoke about in the extract that we just had. And of course, the homework is all about being easy. And as Didi said, we have to make sure that the aim and the qualifications are getting closer to each other. And this is especially important in the whole subject of communication. That's especially where we can integrate dharana into the way we interact with others. What we say, how we say it, especially. Often it's not what we say, it's how we say it. We may be saying the right thing, but the way we say it hurts sometimes, hurts people or makes people confused. So Baba's instruction of having attention, if we put that on the question of communication, Baba says, speak less, speak sweetly, speak softly. And of course, that will happen if I, as Didi was saying, if I'm in soul consciousness, I will be like that. And so she was talking about the angelic stage. And so I can ask myself, If I were really an angel, how would I speak? How would I listen? How would I interact? What sort of words would I choose to say? And also, how would I listen to others? So the whole thing of communication, as I said, I would talk a little bit more about it today. It's a vast topic, and it's exactly where we fall down and where we can get up again, the way I communicate. Now we know, because of the presence of sanskars, sanskars become filters. If they are good sanskars, the filters are good. If they're not so good sanskars, the filters don't work. So the whole thing of perception, how I perceive things, it's like filters, right? The way I see things, the way I interpret things, the way that I understand things, all of that's being filtered through my sanskars. And if there are waste sanskars, there are, for example, experience recorded in the soul that affect the way that I listen to someone. If I have a karmic account with someone that's not so good, definitely the way I listen, the way I speak to that person will be filtered by whatever past experiences have been recorded in the soul. So it's the past experiences, the information that I get. And sometimes, for example, this is why gossip is such a bad use of communication, especially if some stories are circulating about people's behavior that's not real. You know, people are not what we say they are. People especially are not what someone else says about someone else. Like the information is passed from one to the other, to the other, to the other, and finally gets to me. It's not the same thing as what actually happened. So the information is being filtered. Maybe we have labels on people. This person's a difficult person, so how would I interact with them? How would I listen to them? How I would speak to them if in my mind, that person's a difficult person. So there may be also, because of the waste that's in the soul, there may be a lack of clarity, a mental clarity there. Maybe my concentration is not so good because I'm distracted by something and someone's saying something very important. I must pay attention, but my mind is somewhere else. So there's a whole lot of things that could be happening. Maybe even the language we use. Sometimes we don't hear the words properly. There's a very funny story that I'd like to share, that in the center in Sao Paulo, there was a guy who was coming to the center. He was so intoxicated by everything, but his wife didn't want him to come. And his name was Tony. And so he was a salesperson, so he would travel around the country, and one time he was supposed to get back at a certain time. He didn't get back, but the wife became worried, and she thought in her mind that he was at the center. So she went to the center and they told her to wait in a room. In the next room, there were two sisters making some toli or packing some toli. And she heard them talking to each other. They said, this toli is so good. This toli is so good. Now, in her mind, she didn't know what the word toli was. So she thought they were saying, this Tony is so good. This Tony is so good. And what happened was when she would not listen to his explanation. He didn't come. He was completely innocent. But she just jumped on him. What are you doing in that center? They're talking about you all the time. But actually, they were talking about Toli, not Tony. So just the misunderstanding of one little word can create such havoc. So language is important. And I like this idea that Didi brought up about pausing. We can use the pause very well, especially when we're speaking. So before I speak, I check that my words are the most appropriate, that I'm not going to say more than I need to, that I'm going to be very respectful in the way that I say something, I need to have a pause before I open my mouth. And also when I hear something, before jumping to conclusions, let me pause, let me prepare my stage internally, and let me interpret what is being said in the best possible way. That's how we should communicate. So communication is about, I communicate to understand people, to understand where they're at, to understand what they're saying. I do not communicate for me to be understood only. Of course, it's good to be understood, but it's much better to understand. So I'm going to share with you something that's related to the Dharana-based leadership course. So I want to share my screen just a sec. Okay, here we are. Yes. I was talking the other day about the swing, if you remember, how very, very different it is when people are giving some instructions, how it sometimes doesn't work out. So there are 5 things that we need to take into account in the sense of context. There's a situation that we're talking about, whatever it is. Let's say we're planning some program, or something has happened and we have to make a decision together. So there's a situation, and I have to use Gyan. I have to use the third eye. When I'm describing something, I should not color the description of a situation with my own sanskars, my own waste feelings, for example. Let me talk about a situation. Let me listen about a situation completely through the third, using the third eye, using the third ear, let's say also. I'm listening with Gyan and not listening without Gyan. So a situation can be described in terms of Gyan. The second thing is the person who's sending information or sending the communication, giving the communication. So that person should check the perception, check the facts, not just talk about opinions, really check the facts and make sure that when they're sending a communication, it also means transmitting. It's not just sending by email or sending by WhatsApp, but the sender would also mean the one who's transmitting, the transmitter. So when I say something or write something or message something, I have to be okay. I have to be soft. I have to be angelic. I have to be okay. And then the receiver, of course, that's the other side of the equation. If I'm receiving information about something, I have to check how well my perception is, how free I am, how together with Baba I am, so that when the information or the communication comes to me, I'm completely open. I'm not armed against who's the sender or the one who's transmitting the information. Oh, so-and-so, let me be careful what they say. No, let me be open. Maybe they're trying to say something that I've never seen before. So I have to be open and respectful. Then there's the message itself, how clear it is. If it's jumbled, the message is sort of not very clear. If it's ambiguous, that means if it has 2 meanings or many meanings. If it's not clear enough that people can interpret it wrongly. So it must be very concise, especially in written communication. I should, let's say, when I'm sending a message, I should, an email, for example, I should give a very clear subject, what this message is about. Then in the first paragraph, I write again what the message is. And then if there's any questions that I need to ask, they should be highlighted. And not too much, junk in there when we're sending messages to people. And finally, the purpose of the message. What do I want? What do I want with this? What is the meaning behind this? So these are the 5 things that surround an interchange, an exchange of people. I like this idea of integrating dharana into all of this. So the way I see and talk about a situation, the way I send it, the way I receive information about how clear the message itself is and what the purpose is, that's very clear. Why am I sending this? Do I need to send it? Is it useless to send this message? Or I should check even before and if I write down, for example, a message as a reaction to something, I shouldn't send it right away. I should, if it's a strong message, let me wait until the next day even. And then I can read it again. Wow, this is not what I want to send. This is not what I want to say. And the confusion that can happen, and this is where we have to be careful, there's what I want to say, which may be one thing. There's what I actually do say. These 2 things can be different. So in my mind, I'm thinking that, yes, I've said this, I want to say this, this, and this. But when the opportunity comes to actually say it, I get it all mixed up because of my own sanskars, because of my lack of clarity, my confusion and so on, lack of concentration. So there may be a difference between what I want to say and what I do say. And then, of course, it's the other side, what the listener hears. Now, as I've got filters in the way I speak things, the listener's also got filters in the way he or she listens. So what they hear, it may be not the same thing as I say. So there are 3 things already that may be different. What I want to say, what I say, and what the listener actually hears, then what that person understands. So they've heard something and then they've interpreted it. So they may understand something completely different from what I said. But that's what went in. That's what went through their filters. Then finally, what the person's able to remember, what they retain, means what they can remember later on. And finally, what they transmit to others, so-and-so said this and that and this and that. So there are 6 things that can go wrong. Now, and if I get it right, I should check if the person has heard what I want to say, even though I've transmitted a message. Did you understand what I wanted to say? What have you understood? So that you can check if from your side as the communicator and from their side as a listener, you've come to some sort of a decent agreement. These are like basic yuktis to get along with people. This is where we get mixed up. I'm sure all of you have got mixed up in these things. But I told you 6 months ago, and the person looks at you, what? We didn't even talk about it. No, but I did say you were coming down the stairs and I said this and this and this, and the other person, no. The other thing too is this is where we practice respect. Like if someone's talking to me, I should put my cell phone down. I should, if someone comes up to me and says, do you have a minute? I'd like to say something. I either say, well, not at the moment. I will be free after half an hour, then we can talk. But it's not appropriate to not give attention to what they say and just continue looking at the phone while they're saying something. And this is the modern society of multitasking. And, we get it wrong. We've lost very much the ability to speak to each other just because of this thing here. We talk with our fingers rather than with our words. So these are the things that Baba wants to practice as angels in. This is where we can integrate dharana into our behavior, especially through what we say and how we say it. Okay, so next time I'm going to be talking about dealing with different personalities. So Stay tuned. Thank you so much. Let's have some meditation. And you know, if I'm clear inside with Baba's help, what comes out of my mouth and what I hear will also be clear. So let's have some meditation. So Om Shanti, everyone. Om Shanti.
Transformation of old nature and old sanskars. Surrender the attitude of waste and wasteful vibrations. Some children make an effort and make their aim and qualifications equal according to the time, circumstances, and problems. However, extra attention now needs to be paid to make this natural and part of your nature. Whether you become an avyakt angel or incorporeal, the main basis of making these stages your constantly natural nature is to become egoless. In order to do this, surrender the attitude of waste and wasteful vibrations, and you will become a natural yogi who has an angelic nature.
पुरानी नेचर व संस्कारों का परिवर्तन, व्यर्थ वृत्ति, व्यर्थ वाइब्रेशन स्वाहा करो। समय प्रमाण, सर्कमस्टांस प्रमाण, समस्या प्रमाण। कई बच्चे पुरुषार्थ द्वारा अपने लक्ष्य और लक्षण को समान भी बनाते हैं, लेकिन यह नेचुरल और नेचर हो जाए, उसमें अभी और अटेंशन चाहिए। चाहे आकारी फरिश्ता, चाहे निराकारी, निरंतर नेचुरल नेचर हो जाए। इसका मूल आधार है निरअहंकारी बनना। इसके लिए व्यर्थ वृत्ति, व्यर्थ वाइब्रेशन स्वाहा कर दो, तो नेचुरल योगी और नेचर में फरिश्ता बने ही हुए हो। ओम शांति।